G'day mate, 40 here. So this Hamas versus Israel war, it's democracy versus democracy, right? Hamas more strongly represents the will of the people of Gaza, for all indications we have, than the Netanyahu government represents the will of Israel. So if you listen to shallow pundits and analysts and right-wing talk show hosts, you always hear about, democracies never declare war on democracies. Well, the people of Gaza overwhelmingly chose Hamas, not Fatah, not the PLO, right? To rule them in 2006 elections, and they overwhelmingly remain the will of the people of Gaza. Right? This is democracy versus democracy. Supposedly democracies don't declare war on each other, but they do, as happened many times before and is going to happen many times again. And there's absolutely no connection between being a democracy and waging war in a moral way. Right? Democracy is even more likely to slaughter civilians than non-democracies when they go to war. So it's just that the discourse on TV and radio and in the media is just so shallow right now, right? So these scenes out of Israel from what Hamas has done are absolutely horrifying. But the tens of thousands of infants that the US embargo of Iraq killed, right? The hundreds of thousands of Iraqis who died because of the American-led embargo of Iraq, including tens of thousands of children, right, due to malnutrition. Right? We didn't get to see those pictures, right? So tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of Iraqis die, like prior to the 2003 US invasion, because of decisions made by the United States of America to boycott Saddam Hussein's Iraq. Right? Tens of thousands of Iraqi children die of malnutrition. We don't see that on TV, so it doesn't horrify us. And we were doing the moral thing because Saddam was not abiding by our dictates. So tens of thousands of Iraqi children die of malnutrition because of decisions made by the United States of America. But we're the good guys. I mean, the drums of war are just beating so loudly. The media is salivating at the prospect of an America versus Russia conflict. You know that if this proxy war over Ukraine, of Russia versus NATO, you know if it goes nuclear, you know what the media line will be. It's because America didn't intervene more strongly, didn't give Ukraine the weapons that they needed, right? If only we'd backed Ukraine to the hilt and given them tanks and cluster bombs and planes, trains and automobiles, right? Then we'd never gotten to the place where this war turns nuclear. So the fault was the United States wasn't more involved. I mean, the drums of war are just beating. The news media is salivating at the prospect of the US, going to war with Iran because of what Hamas, its own independent entity, did in southern Israel. I mean, Hamas is Sunni, right? Iran is Shia. Sunni and Shia are very different types of Islam. By and large, they hit each other. Yeah, there will be some cooperation against an external enemy such as the Zionists, but it's not going to be deep, lasting, intense cooperation. So no, Hamas is not a proxy for Iran. Hamas is not doing what Iran's did. But the media is just salivating at the prospect we've moved apparently an aircraft carrier. Guys, we've moved an aircraft carrier closer to Israel. How exciting the prospects that we'll bomb Iran because Hamas has taken American hostages and killed Americans. And the media is just absolutely salivating at the prospect of bombing Iran, going to war with Iran, salivating at the prospect of more intense US involvement in the war against Ukraine. So, why haven't we just gone ahead and given Ukrainians, another $60 billion right now? It should be an aid package that's beyond politics, guys. This is the moral thing to do. Yeah, it dramatically increases the odds of a nuclear exchange, dramatically increases the odds of a direct American versus Russia conflict, directly increases the odds of a catastrophic world war. That is the moral thing to do, guys. Oh. I mean, there's just no sentiment in the news media for not aiding Ukraine, right? That case just doesn't occur, it just doesn't exist, doesn't get mentioned, gets no oxygen, just not even a possibility. So it's not even one of the possibilities that's presented. If only Russia were a democracy. Well, Russia's a flawed democracy, but Putin was elected many times, and even if Russia was led by someone other than Putin, they would still face the same incentives to wreck Ukraine, right? Due to American pro-Ukrainian involvement, whoever leads Russia has the same incentive to go ahead and wreck Ukraine. Right? Russia's never sought to conquer all of Ukraine. It just wants to wreck it to reduce its viability and as a threat next door. Just like we would wreck Mexico or Canada if they formed an alliance and started receiving military supplies from a rival power like China or Russia. Okay, I'm going to go live in about 20 minutes. Let's talk about these beating drums of war and the media salivating at the prospect of going to war with China. Right? It's not enough we go to war with Russia. It's not enough that we go to war with Iran. There's considerable sentiment in the news media. We also need to go to war with China. And what kills me about us going to war with China over Taiwan is that Taiwan is not invested in their own defense. I mean, these people are pathetic. Right? They invest more than 1% of their GDP in their armed forces. Right? They face a grave threat. Right? Their survival is at stake, and they can't be bothered to arm themselves. And yet America is on the hook to go to war for Taiwan in a conflict that would likely cost us about 5 aircraft carriers, about 1,000 planes, a great deal of our Navy, tens of thousands of American lives. Right? The price paid to the US, in the best case scenario, if that war over Taiwan does not go nuclear, would just be absolutely devastating. And we're doing it for a bloody island, for people that are not invested in their own defense, their own survival. Like a lot of peoples in the world are not long for this world because they can't be bothered to survive. They're unwilling to make the sacrifices to institute the discipline, to form the cooperation, to do the hard work to survive. Taiwan can't be bothered to survive. They can't be bothered to put any effort in. They can't be bothered to make any sacrifice. They can't be bothered to spend any money. They can't be bothered to significantly upgrade their armed forces. They can't be bothered to institute a meaningful draft. I mean, the draft that they have is a joke. Right? Their armed forces are pathetic. Their lack of attention, their lack of contribution, their lack of willingness, their lack of effort in their own survival is pathetic. Like, I would be all in with supporting Taiwan if Taiwan was all in. What I hate is the prospect of thousands of American lives and tens of billions of American planes, trains, ships, automobiles, they're being destroyed for people who can't be bothered to look after themselves, to defend themselves, to build themselves up, to protect themselves, to try to perpetuate themselves, right? The Taiwanese are pathetic in their low level of commitment to survive. And yet America is on the hook to protect the people that can't be bothered to protect themselves. I hate that. Like, I hate dating someone who can't be bothered to look after herself. I hate dating, I hate being connected, I hate having obligations to someone who's pathetic, who's undisciplined, who can't bother to show up on time, who can't keep track of their own spending and earning, someone who just becomes a millstone around your neck. Right? Initially it's all very exciting to rescue someone. But within a few weeks they start to feel like a millstone around your neck. Well, Taiwan's a bloody millstone around our neck because they can't be bothered to look after themselves. They can't be bothered to defend themselves. They can't be bothered to sacrifice for themselves. They want to do as little as possible in their own defense and offload as much of their defense, as much of the sacrifice as possible onto the United States of America. Well, screw them.